Hey everybody, my name's AOE and welcome to the first video on my channel. I really wanted to start making gacha content, and so I thought, what's a more controversial way to do it than by doing a review of Wuthering Waves as a Genshin Impact player. Before I get into the video, this should go without saying, but I want to mention that I will be comparing other gacha games to Wuthering Waves, and if that's something that you can't handle, then I would just highly recommend clicking off the video now. Now that that's said, let me give some context to you all and give some background about my relationship with gacha games. Prior to playing Wuthering Waves, I've only really played Genshin and Star Rail, which are both Hoyoverse titles. I mainly play Genshin though, and I've played since around the time it launched, albeit with a few breaks every now and then. I dropped Star Rail, but I am still super deep into Genshin. In Genshin, I have all the achievements in the game that are currently obtainable. I have a couple C6 5 stars, I've maxed the entire map, and I'm able to clear dire difficulty of the Stygian Onslaught. Yeah, I am that deep into the game. I guess you could say I love it.
And I'm fucking addicted! So I can't quit!
Even when you love a game though, sometimes it's refreshing to look for other games to play. And that's exactly what I did earlier this year in January. Due to being heavily involved with Genshin, when WUA came out, it was something that was really talked about a lot. I ended up seeing characters like Yinlin and Jian showcased and talked about a lot, but I wasn't really convinced enough to play. There was nothing that really grabbed my attention or intrigued me to play the game. The same thing happened again when Jinxie, Camellia, and Shorekeeper were released respectively. There was always something holding me back from playing the game. Whether it be reviews saying that there were a lot of performance issues with the game or that the story wasn't well done, these things were deal breakers for me. Well then, what exactly attracted me to this game then? Well, I think a lot of us are probably here for the same thing. Now fast forward to version 2 of the game, Carlotta released. And let me tell you, when I saw this woman, I was like, bro. I just had to play, man. Carlotta had me in her grasp. There was also just an increase in praise for the game as a whole, and well, the rest is history. So how was the game then? Well, the way I experienced the story was kind of interesting. A friend that I had at the time genuinely convinced me that the story had no redeeming qualities at all and that I should just skip everything. Unfortunately, my dumbass actually believed him. I ended up skipping all of the 1.x story, and this is something that I kinda wish I really didn't do. I really wish I could have experienced the Black Shores questline in particular because it was just very emotional and super well written. I basically ended up having to go on YouTube and watch a summary of the entire 1.x story, which I really wouldn't recommend to anybody. It wasn't really the greatest experience, but it worked, and I knew what was going on in the world of Solaris 3. One thing I definitely think I should touch on though is that the 1.x story did have a lot of big problems with how it's presented and how it was paced. Especially at the beginning of the story, the exposition is really poorly done. The big change with the story though comes after 2.0, and let me say I've read all of the story after 2.0, and let me just say, man, it's amazing, it's cinema, it's crazy. What a ride. All the feedback that Kuro Games received from the 1.x arc went into refining the 2.x one, and let's just say that the story had a very considerable improvement. Version 2.7 is just around the corner, and I'm super excited to see how the Renacida arc wraps up with Galbrina, Cartethia, and the Threnodian. So with that being said, there were some obvious problems with the 1.x arc, but the story does have a massive improvement. And I would say it's worth it to just play the game for the story alone. And considering this is only the second arc in the entire story and there's going to be many more in the future, that means that the story can really only go up from here. If I'm taking into account the Jinzhou arc, I'd give the story maybe a 7 out of 10. And without the Jinzhou arc, I'd give the story a 9 out of 10. That's how much of a significant improvement there was. And let me know if you guys would like me to make a fresh account just to go through the Jinzhou story to fully experience it for myself. It's something that I definitely consider doing if there's enough support. Wuthering Waves is genuinely one of the best combat games I have ever played. Man, it's just so fucking good. It feels extremely fluid and intuitive to play, and the feeling of intro and outro skills is really what ties it together for me. One of the things I do like about the game is that there is a general skill floor that most players operate at, but there's also a very high skill ceiling that can be achieved in the game. Don't even get me started on these motherfuckers, man. Even as someone who's been playing for almost a year now, I feel like I still have so much more to learn in this game. As a Genshin player, it was very different coming from a knowledge-based game where you can beat the content if you put a certain character against a certain enemy. While we're on the topic of combat, I'm also going to touch on endgame content. I have both some good and some bad things to say about the endgame content in this game. My favorite out of all of the endgame content are the hologram bosses. This is just because figuring out the boss's attack patterns is super fun to me, and it's one of the ways where I felt I was able to express my skill the most. And I managed to actually clear all the holograms available in the game as of version 2.6. TOA is kind of just alright to me, especially before version 2.6. I think now I actually enjoy TOA a little bit more. The addition of 2 more floors in the hazard tower definitely made things a little more interesting for sure. Before version 2.6, TOA kinda almost felt brain dead to do, and I could really just go in and demolish everything with more than a minute left. It felt way too easy to me. Now if you really want to clear with a minute remaining, you really gotta sweat a little bit. There's a little bit of a challenge to it, and that's something that I kind of enjoy about the new TOA. And of course, last but least, Whimpering Waves. And I had to save this one for last because it's just the worst endgame mode. The mode is really good in concept, but they've just executed it very poorly. There's one thing that we just can't deny, and that's that the HP of the enemies is super inflated right now, and in order to clear with really high points, you are required to activate the shield token buffs by using the on-banner characters. I'm still able to easily clear the mode, but I used to be able to easily clear with Camellia and Sanhua team, and in just 8 months since the mode was released, I can barely clear with that same team. It feels like now you have to use the new premium teams in WEWA, and that's just not good for the game, and it doesn't feel good. Character building in this game actually feels pretty good for the most part. It's super intuitive, and if you do some research, you can easily have materials prepared for the upcoming characters. My main issue with character building in WEWA though is the weekly boss restrictions. It's always felt crappy to be mat-locked for weeks as a new player. A lot of my supportive characters are at level 6 talents because I can't keep up with the newer characters while also leveling up my older characters' talents. Other than that, I really don't have a lot of complaints though. There's tons of free mats that you can get just from doing all the events in the game for sure. Compared to the character building stuff, I have a lot more concerns about the gearing system, especially as of lately. I used to think it was honestly amazing, especially when I first started playing. After they started adding the Nightmare Nest though, it just started to feel a lot worse because tubes and tuners are a lot more scarce. I will say though, the gearing system in this game is by far the best out of all of the gacha games I've played. And that's not to say that it can't be improved either. There's always room for improvement. I like the fact that you can kill mobs in the open world to get echoes, which just reduces a lot of the daily grind burden. If I really try hard enough, I can actually get a fully built, brand new 5-star character in just one day. And to compare, in Genshin, it normally takes up to an entire month or more to get a full set that meets my standards. To make character building even easier, they also added this brand new item called a modifier. I think that this is a great system. It's super good, and it just allows you to more efficiently build your echoes. Exploring WEWA is honestly one of the best experiences I've had in recent years playing video games. There's just so many vastly different looking areas, and the world's art is just absolutely insane. It's just such a beautiful world, man. The exploration experience has only gotten better too, ever since they added flight in version 2.0. I mean, come on, you literally have a fucking elytra. That is so badass. In version 2.0, they also added treasure spots, which are basically locations on the map that have a bunch of chests in the same area. This makes it super nice to easily get astrite and materials. More recently, in version 2.6, they also improved the loot mapper utility, which extends to a wider range, and it makes it super easy to find the chests. Another thing I like is that the open world is super generous when it comes to astrite. So much free currency just for exploring the world. The only bit of criticism I have is that they could just add more chests to the open world. It just gets empty really quick, and there's just not a lot there. My thoughts on Wuthering Waves' quality of life is going to be super short. In my opinion, Wuthering Waves is known for its quality of life. I mean, seriously, they just don't fucking miss at all. In every update I've played since version 2, they've added some type of quality of life that has helped me play the game. The devs are very responsive to player feedback, and I think that this is reason to play the game alone. The gacha elements of this game are something that I have to mention. This game definitely feels good to play compared to a Hoyoverse title. It's really refreshing not losing my 50-50 to weapons. It feels like they give enough free astrite to guarantee every single character, and maybe some weapons if you have the battle pass and the Lunite subscription. Log in daily, do your events, and explore the map. Basically, if you keep up with the game, you should reliably get every character that comes out. If you're a busy person like myself, it's super convenient that the daily login is super quick and you can be in and out in like 5 minutes. There are a couple points of concern that I do want to mention about the gacha. The release schedule of 5-star units is super frequent, and there's not a lot of 4-star units being released right now. A lot of the times, if a DPS character is released, their best in slot support will come right after them or before them, and this has been a growing problem over the last couple months. It definitely feels like you're constantly pulling for the new characters because of how good Kuro is doing with their art and gameplay. Overall though, when it comes to the gacha, it's not that bad. I had to save my most opinionated talk for last, and that's basically the events in this game. I really have been unimpressed with what they've done with events, especially since I started playing. There were a lot of combat events when I first started playing the game. Back then, I didn't really have any characters built, so I wasn't able to actually fully experience those events. But now, once I have all my characters fully built, I have a steady account, I'm not actually able to test out my characters, and this is something that's been bothering me for a while. They definitely need to add more combat events for sure. A lot of the events in this game are just login events or really annoying, boring events. So for example, the Frolova event in version 2.5, I've realized that this is one of the main things I do hate about gacha games, but it's something I'm willing to put up with to experience the other good stuff about the games. And I'm hoping in future updates that they plan to make more combat-oriented stuff. So with that being said, is Wuthering Waves worth it to play if you're debating it as a Genshin player? 100%. And if you're somebody that's more into the combat of Genshin, you'll definitely enjoy Wuthering Waves. Even if you're not looking for combat-oriented stuff, there's tons of stuff for you. The story is great, especially once you get to 2.0. It's just a good game. And with that being said, I'm going to be ending the video here. If you guys enjoyed the content at all, feel free to check out my coming content in the future. I'm going to be making a lot more Wuthering Waves videos. I'm going to be making Genshin videos. I'm going to be making Duet Night Abyss videos. And also updates on Ananta. I'm super hyped for that game too. So stay tuned for more. And I'll see you next time. Bye!